Today's episode of Off the Timeline is titled Notre Dame 2004, The Decision That Bent College Football. What if in 2004 Notre Dame didn't leave independence, they didn't join a conference, they didn't announce a strategy shift, but they hired the wrong kind of coach for a sport that was about to change. And quietly, without meaning to, Notre Dame set off the chain reaction that reshaped conferences, playoff access, and who actually gets protected on Saturdays. This isn't the story of Notre Dame abandoning tradition, it's the story of the moment tradition stopped being enough. But first, we need to set the stage for a moment. By 2004, college football looks stable, but it's not. The BCS is in place. Conference championship games are becoming resume requirements. USC is turning dominance into inevitability. TV money is accelerating, but no one wants to say out loud where it's headed. And Notre Dame? Notre Dame's still independent, but they're not comfortable. They're moving on from Ty Willingham. They're tired of instability. They want structure, control, predictability. So when they make their next hire, they don't look for a savior. They look for a systems coach. And that sets the table for the inciting decision. Notre Dame hires Gary Patterson. Not a headline hire, not a nostalgia play, not a charisma first gamble. Patterson represents something very different. He's defensive minded, detail obsessed, process driven, and most importantly, he doesn't romanticize structure. Notre Dame sells the hire stability, culture, discipline, development. But buried in the contract is a small, reasonable assumption. Postseason success is tied to access, not just rankings. Conference championship participation is treated as equivalent, even preferable to independence. Notre Dame doesn't announce this. They don't even frame it as a change. But for the first time, independence is no longer assumed to be permanent. It's provisional. That's the moment everything bends. And why does this matter? Nothing about this looks radical in 2004. Notre Dame's not panicking. They're not chasing money. They're not begging for protection. They're just acknowledging something uncomfortable. The sport is starting to reward alignment over reputation. And that quiet acknowledgement is what conferences notice. Not because Notre Dame moved, but because Notre Dame prepared to. And that's far more dangerous. And that sets the table for who panics first and why. The first conference to react isn't the SEC, it's not the ACC, it's the Big Ten. But it's a quiet reaction because the Big Ten understands leverage better than anyone else. They see Patterson's hire and understand the implication immediately. If Notre Dame ever joins a conference, any conference, the Midwest power map changes forever. So the Big Ten doesn't make an offer. They don't leak a proposal. They do something way more subtle. They start modeling futures where Notre Dame is included. Big Ten network projections, championship game value, scheduling gravity, and then inevitably someone talks. A reporter writes a vague line. Something along the lines of multiple conference executives believe Notre Dame's current structure assumes future conference championship access. No sources, no quotes, but everyone knows where it came from. Notre Dame doesn't leak it. The Big Ten did, not to force a move, but to make the idea real. And that sets the table for the ripple effect. Once that idea is real, everyone else has to react. The ACC realizes Notre Dame isn't tethered the way they thought. The SEC quietly pushes playoff criteria that favor conference champions. USC starts to feel something they haven't felt in years, replaceable. And then the first school moves. Not Notre Dame, but Pitt. Pitt understands the danger before anyone else. If Notre Dame alignment becomes real, the Big East illusion collapses instantly. So Pitt doesn't wait for announcements. They don't posture. They open Big Ten talks early. That's the crack in the wall. Because once a school moves in anticipation, not reaction, Everyone else knows the future is already decided. And that sets the stage for the on field results where Notre Dame proves the point. And this is the cruel irony. Under Patterson, Notre Dame gets better. Not flashy, better. 8 wins, 9 wins, 10 wins. Consistent defense, cleaner identity, national relevance again, and yet they keep finishing just outside the championship picture, ranked sixth, seventh, first team out. Meanwhile, conference champions with similar records are protected. Nobody says it publicly, but in selection rooms, it becomes obvious. If Notre Dame had a conference championship game, they'd be in. That's not punishment, that's irrelevance by design. And that's when Notre Dame understands the truth. The sport didn't beat independence, it outgrew it. And that sets the stage for the commitment without an announcement. Notre Dame never makes a dramatic declaration. They don't choose a conference in a press conference. They change a clause. In 2006, Patterson's contract is quietly updated to include conference championship participation as a postseason benchmark. That's it. No fireworks, no backlash, but the meaning is unmistakable. Independence is no longer an identity, it's a temporary condition. From that point on, Notre Dame isn't decided whether to join, they're deciding when. And when they finally do, the Big Ten is ready. Not because they moved first, because they waited. The, the thing to take note on this parallel universe is there's no villains, no stupidity, no greed. Just institutions responding not rationally, but a half step too late. Notre Dame doesn't lose power, they lose authorship. And the sport reorganizes itself around that quiet loss. And if you like these kinds of universes where one reasonable decision bends everything, hit like. If you think Notre Dame waited too long or picked the only path left, tell me in the comments. And if you want more timelines or college football breaks without anyone meaning to, subscribe because the next path gets even messier.